Welcome to ACC Nation. That's Will Ojanen, and I'm Jim Quist. And we've got a weekend wrap of some football. Actually, we go a little further back than the beginning of the weekend because it started on Thursday. And that's technically not the weekend, but for all intents and purposes, it's a weekend wrap. All kinds of interesting football, close games, some question marks, I think, that Will and I both have in regard to some teams and performances. We'll find out exactly what that's all about. But first, our top 25 oopsies. It's that time of the year to start looking at the top 25 and see who screwed up the rest of their season and maybe even their conference's season by losing. And we'll start out with number 3, Oregon, flushing the Pac-12 pretty much down the toilet by losing to Stanford. In overtime, 31-24.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I give credit to Stanford because they've been a lot better than people expected this year. They've been down for a couple of years. David Shaw's done a good job of turning a program around this year. They beat USC when they were ranked. Now they have another ranked win over Oregon. So, good job, David Shaw.
Yeah. Here's a win that I'm sure that our colleague Chris Bond is just elated about. Kentucky upending number 10 Florida with a 20-13 win. Either one of those teams lose, I could care less, but It is kind of nice watching one of the top echelon SEC teams take a tumble to an unranked team, even though it was within the SEC.
Yeah, and Mark's, credit to Mark Stoops. I feel like he does one of the best coaching jobs in America. I believe Kentucky's 5-0 right now with that win over Florida, and they're unranked for some reason. So expect Kentucky to be ranked here in the upcoming poll.
Let's see if the people who vote on this overdo it, which they tend to do. Instead of debuting them in the top 10, how about we just ease them into the Kentucky probably ought to be somewhere between, I'd say, 17 and 22. I
think that's fair.
So, but if it's any higher than that, people are full of it. Of course, we already know they are. And speaking of being full of it, Jimbo, how's it going out there, dude? Number 15, Texas A&M dropping to Mississippi State, another unranked team. Final score there, 26-22. And I saw some things on social media that said, hey, Texas A&M will be lucky to finish number 7 in their particular division. I'm going like, man, this is some ugly stuff here. Texas A&M at 15 and they lose like this. They're still in the top 25. It's Homerville.
You know what, though? This is good, though, for the ACC in a roundabout way. Mississippi State beat NC State a few weeks ago, so that props that up a little bit.
That's right.
But your point being, guess what, Texas A&M, even if they don't do very well this year, you're stuck for him for a while because you cannot afford what he's made, what he's going to be owed.
Can't pay
unless you're like Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, good luck with that. I don't think anybody on the within the boosters is going to step up and go, sure, we'll fork out that to get rid of Jimbo. Not happening.
And by the way, this could have been predicted. I mean, we saw how the end went for him at Florida State. So
yep, it's just it's deja vu all over again.
That's right, Yogi.
That's right. All right, here's another one. Number 20, UCLA gets thumped, dumped 42-23. Arizona State with a huge win over the Bruins. So, wow.
Yeah, good win. I mean, Arizona State's got a cloud of controversy right now. Obviously, they got a lot of internal issues with the NCAA and some recruiting issues. And I think they were preseason top 25 and then took an L early on to knock them out. But they're still a good team. I think UCLA was just more of a surprise than anything. And I think this is them just kind of coming back to earth a little bit.
West Coast teams not doing too well here in one regard. Number 18, Fresno State loses to Hawaii 27-24. And for anybody who is wants to take measure with me on how I just pronounced the wonderful islands. I worked with a family from that are native Hawaiians, so I was quickly straightened out on how to say that properly. So
Hawaii.
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 Yeah. I'm doing fine, thank you. It's an old.
Well, full disclosure on this, we're recording this early Sunday morning, and for me, it's like 9 a.m. Central Time. So I think this game ended 7 hours ago.
Yeah.
So it literally just ended.
Yeah.
Of course, we were all long asleep before that happens. But Fresno State's been one of those group of 5 darlings that I think they beat. They beat UCLA earlier this year, I believe it was. And I think they were up there kind of as a result. I know they beat somebody big, and I want to say it was UCLA, but yeah, there you go. They'll drop out probably in favor of Kentucky, but
that's right.
Good win for Hawaii. They've been kind of down from where they've been over the years. They're still like that. They're your litmus test of how old you are. Can you stay up for a Hawaii football game now?
No.
And the answer for like everyone who is either works overnights or is a gambling junkie or something, yeah, you're probably sleeping during those games.
Yeah, that's what DVR is for, and a lot of other things. Okay, that's our top 25 oopsies. I'm sure we'll have more of them as we go forward. Just a reminder for you, we have Tristan Freeman of Busting Brackets coming up as our special midweek guest on ACC Nation. And I'm looking forward to that. I know you are. We get to talk about not only Busting Brackets top 25 preseason rankings, but Tristan just had an opportunity to watch Pitt in practice. He's got a lot of interesting thoughts and insight on what's going on with ACC basketball and college basketball in general. Look forward to tapping into that. That is our midweek show. Be sure to subscribe to ACC Nation. You can watch us on YouTube. You can listen to us on ACC Nation Radio, or listen to our podcast. And you can subscribe there at Apple Podcast or all kinds of places that we are available for you to
5-star ratings, please.
That's right. And while you're there ranking us and 5-star, yeah, we would appreciate that immensely.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the like button too.
That's right.
We appreciate that.
That's right. This is
you can leave a comment and tell me how much of a dork I am, and I'll agree with you.
I know it's going to happen there.
Oh yeah. But anyways, we're only just a little over a month away from college hoop season starting, and it's a good time to start thinking ahead. And I'm glad we're bringing on Tristan. If you're not familiar with him, he's a big hoops junkie. His Twitter handle is kind of speaks for itself. But he's very, very smart, very knowledgeable, and we're gonna have a good time with him.
Yeah, or vice versa, one or the other. We'll see how that all plays out. Look forward to it. Tristan, good guy, and thanks for coming on the show. You'll want to see that on, as Will mentioned, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you give us a thumbs up, follow, let everybody know about that. This is something that's we've been doing for a little while now, and it's rolling along, and we appreciate everybody coming along with us. We appreciate hey, I was looking at our numbers that for ACC Nation Radio, which come in early Sunday morning. So if I'm watching SNL or something like that, or a late night football game, I get to see the numbers, and those just keep growing too. The number of countries that are listening, it's 58 total countries that are tuning in on a regular basis and listening, and we appreciate you immensely. Thank you for doing that. And if you have any suggestions, be sure to go to our contact page. We do not keep any information. I will just tell you that right up front. We don't do that. If you use our system, it does not collect information about you. Okay. It's just that simple. You send your information. Yeah, you can, it does ask you where you're sending it from, and it will not where, but your email address and stuff like that. That's a confirmation thing so that we know that Will's not sending in tons of stuff and having his family send in tons of stuff. We got to keep an eye on him. But that way we know, that it's a valid thing. Yeah. That evil. We know it's valid, and we would appreciate you sending in some thoughts, questions that you may have, things you'd like to see, guests that you might want to see us have, because I will tell you, not only Tristan coming on next week with basketball, we will continue to have football, but we're also going to have guests from a variety of sports over the next couple of weeks, because we are thick into soccer, field hockey, volleyball, and we're getting keyed up for a lot of other sports that are winter oriented. We've also got cross country going on, a lot of things. We're going to try to have some guests from all of those sports come in, talk with us a little bit, tell us what's going on with their particular sport, maybe their school. Depends on what's going on and who we have as a guest, but we're looking forward to that as time goes on. So let's get into football. It's the weekend wrap. We'll start out with this Virginia and Miami game. And too close for comfort, would that be appropriate way to describe this game? The final, which literally came down to the waning moments, 30-28, Virginia pulls off a big win over Miami. And not a whole lot of Manny Diaz fans existing still in the Miami circle.
To be honest, I don't even know if either team deserved to win this game. and I'm like half being facetious there, but like, but no, this was really a tale of two halves. I mean, first half, it looked Virginia was just dominant. I mean, they were up 16-7 at halftime, had held Miami to 94 total yards. And Brennan Armstrong looked pretty good. Mm-hmm. He was completing passes left and right, looking really good. The Virginia defense made Tyler Van Dyke, who was starting for De'Ara King, and make him basically look like a freshman and have with a deer in the headlights look. But then the second half was really about the defense for Miami. Second half, they held Brennan Armstrong to 5 of 14 passing. But on the plus side, Virginia did run the ball better in the second half. But the defense kind of regressed back to what we've seen in the past two games against North Carolina and Wake Forest, where they just started giving up chunk plays on the ground. I know Cameron Harris had a 57-yard TD at one point. Van Dyke started hitting some deep balls down the field. Just basically, once he finally hit a big play, he started building confidence, and it kind of showed as the game went on. Unfortunately for them, it came down to Andres Borregales field goal, which he clanked off the left upright. A tough break for the kid in particular, because it's his job. He missed the game-winning field goal. But he's got people in his Twitter mentions, and I even mentioned this Friday on Twitter that people were going after him for it, and that's not cool. I mean, we went through the same thing last week with Virginia fans and Brennan Armstrong and the defense. Yeah, you know what? Telling him he sucks isn't going to help. It's just making you look like a fool. But anyway, this is a big win for Virginia. They've needed it. It was a big game for Mandy Alonso, who's from Miami. He had a couple of sacks in this game. So Virginia, like I said, they definitely needed a huge win to kind of keep this thing from spiraling out of control.
Yeah, both teams, for me, are still a step or a season away, depending on how you want to look at it, from really getting it together and being consistent. If you're serious about football and you step back from both of these teams and observe where they have been and where they are, you can see a progression. Mm-hmm. Now, I do see some bumps in the road there at Miami, which I think are normal. I've seen a few there at Virginia, which I think are normal as well. But I also believe that based upon recruiting and just the nature of football in general, that by next season, you should see a much improved team, both of them. And I just encourage. Now, we heard some off the wall talk about who gets on the hot seat, and there's no way Broncos on the hot seat. Okay, you can talk about Manny Diaz being on a hot seat, but I think he's there for another year. I think he gets through this year and he gets through another year after that before you really can seriously consider him being on a hot seat. Now he's going to be, it'll be warm, I think, next year.
And I think the thing is I know a lot of people are going to want Mario Cristobal, but if you look at the way Oregon shapes up, they're thinking they could be a national title contender next season.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Mario Cristobal would want to give that up.
He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to dream and to project.
Yeah. And I know, like, he was down there at FIU and they screwed him, and Oregon's eventually reaped the benefits after Willie Taggart left to go to Florida State or whatever. But you have to be realistic about things, and I just don't know if as much as Mario Cristobal loves Miami and whatnot, if Oregon might be a better situation right now.
Yeah, I think it is. Honestly, I think you'd be a fool to come to Miami. I think the best thing to do is to stick with the investment of Manny Diaz. I don't think that Diaz is, by any stretch of the imagination, he's not dumb. He is a decent coach. He's getting his brain wrapped around, I think, the program and what is and what isn't. And if you let him do that, I think he can build a decent program there and start being very competitive. That's the last thought on that game. Let's move into Pitt and Georgia Tech. At first, when I first started watching this game, Will, I really thought this might be very competitive. But now we have all this talk about bring on Clemson, pick it for Heisman, et cetera, et cetera. After Pitt kind of laid some wood to Jeff Collins in Georgia Tech, 52-21.
There's a line in a promo from the late great Roddy Piper where he goes, "Just when you think you have the answers, I change the questions." And I feel like this game is kind of representative in that, because after Georgia Tech laid out North Carolina last week, you figure, this should be a competitive game. Yeah. Pitt, they beat up on a FCS school, but last we saw them against the FBS school, they were losing to Western Michigan. But really, the tone of this game was set at the first two drives of the game when Jeff Sims threw back-to-back interceptions, and I think both of them led to touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
remember you were telling me that in our message thread while I was out and about yesterday. But big, Kenny Pickett looks like he might be player of the year. If you're to this point, if you're going to ask who's ACC player of the year at this point, it might be Kenny Pickett.
Who would have ever thought that? Who really seriously would have said that at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, Pitt fans, maybe.
I'm not even sure they would have, considering all the talent that's in the ACC at quarterback.
Yeah. Who would have thought, he'd be above, Sam Howell, DJ Uiagalelei, and we'll get to him later, them in a little bit. But yeah, he's been the offense for the most part for Pitt. And we had Mike Wilson on the other day on Wednesday, and I brought up Israel Abanikanda and how much of a factor he could be out of the backfield, and he had 2 touchdowns in this game. Big, nice game for him. It's a tough start. Yeah, really just kind of tough start for Georgia Tech after the Sims interceptions just kind of put them behind, and it was 42-14 at halftime, and Pitt basically just cruised from there. But Sims still threw for 342 yards and 2 touchdowns in the losing effort.
Interesting game there. Aside from those mistakes, those interceptions, I think Jeff did a pretty decent job. Georgia Tech, again, is just in the 3rd year of this rebuild. I still think they have another year to go. But there's plenty of signs, folks, that Georgia Tech is going to be a team to be reckoned with. I think that now, how much of a return to glory, the old glory days, remains to be seen. But for all those of you who have been trashing Jeff Collins, I get your frustration, but hey, rebuilds take time. Be patient here. Let it work its way through, and let's see what happens. Our next game, Duke fell hard, and not surprising. UNC 38, Duke 7, and I, I guess good for the Tar Heels because they needed a win like this. Duke, I didn't expect anything other than this. So not this is not what anybody would call a surprise.
I mean, yes, but I thought, I guess we just never don't know what to expect from UNC from week to week right now.
That's true.
and it's fair to say because their offensive line is just so bad. I mean, Duke sacked them 5 times in this game. And it's a huge problem, and probably if they don't win the Coastal this year, that'll be why.
Yep.
And it's unacceptable just how much pressure Howell is getting against them. But even still in this game, he threw for 321 yards and 3 touchdowns, and that looks good. He's still really good, but you look at the offensive line in 5 games, they've allowed 22 sacks. That's not good. And I think one of those games he didn't get sacked at all. I believe, I don't remember if he was sacked at all in the Virginia game or not. I don't have that in front of me, but I've talked up Josh Downs quite a bit, and he had another 8-catch, 168-yard game. He looked really, really good again. And then for Duke, obviously we've talked about Mateo Duran being one of the best backs in the league. He had 114 yards in this game, and this was. Duke showed something here a little, that they can run the ball, but I think it's just, this could be, we might have, it's possible we may not see Duke win another game again this year.
Yeah, I don't think I have them winning anything from here on out, but that was a preseason projection. Yeah, let's get to this next game. We've got actually a couple of games decided by field goals here. I certainly did not expect this to be as close as it was. Wake Forest coming away with a 37-34 win over Louisville. Good on Louisville. They continue to improve, and I'd say that they keeping it that close against Wake Forest says a lot about how far this team has come this season.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with the turnover luck last year not kind of repeating itself, even though they did. They did. I think they turned the ball over twice in this game. But Malik Cunningham, 332 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He looked really good in this game, and obviously the most important stat, 0 interceptions. It's just Wake Forest is just really good. That's Sam Hartman, 324 yards, 2 touchdowns. They ran for 177. They're just an offensive machine, and they're just really hard to stop. And when you look at Wake's schedule, it's hard to find many losses the rest of the way. Even the ones that you would think they'd be an underdog in, they're certainly not scary anymore. I mean, we've seen what North Carolina can do. NC State, they play later in the year, and we'll get to them in a little bit, but they have a little bit of an up and down feel to them. They still have to play Clemson, but we'll get to them too, but they have a lot of offensive woes. And while I'm thinking about it, check out our friends over at Cardinal Sports Zone this week. I'll be on their podcast to kind of preview the Louisville, Virginia game. So check that out later this week.
Yeah, if you're looking for podcasts, is CSZ.
Yes,
that'll help you get there very quickly. Cardinal Sports Zone, Jeremy and the guys. Yep. And did you get to say hi to Higgy?
Yes.
I'm still looking for a little extra leg here. Um, so our next game here, we predicted this. This is the proverbial wall. We thought it was going to come with Wisconsin. It came with Cincinnati. It was definitively with Cincinnati. Notre Dame. And let's not say that they were exposed, because they're not. I mean, it's maybe a little overranked. Yeah, I can see that. That's a good argument. But Cincinnati 24, Notre Dame 13, not unexpected from this corner at all.
And this corner.
Yeah. So.
Well, yeah, you were right though. That they weren't exposed. They've kind of been exposed for a while, but no one has stepped up to really take them down until Saturday. And Cincinnati was that team. And no shame in losing to that team. Cincinnati is really, really good. They're like I said, I think they'll be a borderline top 5 team, here in the near future when the rankings come out. But I think from the Notre Dame side, you have a lot of offensive issues again. I mean, they went through 3 quarterbacks in this game: Drew Pine, Jack Cohn, and Tyler Buckner. And I think the saying goes, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. So what happens if you have 3? Do you have like a third of a quarterback? I don't know. I don't know how that all works, but I'm curious to see how Brian Kelly addresses that going forward, because he can't keep doing this. And Kyron Williams still can't get anything going on the ground. He only had 45 yards rushing, but in fairness, Cincinnati has a really, really good defense, and this was a classic case of one team getting up big and the other team not really able to completely punch their way back into the game. Cincinnati scored 17 points in the second quarter to go up 17-0 at halftime, and that's pretty much the difference in the game right there. I mean, big win for Cincinnati. Notre Dame has a big game next week. They take on Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, and I'll be honest, I really have no idea where to pick that game, because I think I could see both teams winning, to be honest with you.
It's a very much a toss-up. One thing that I will make note of with 3 quarterbacks, that feels like a deflection on the part of the coaches from addressing the real problem. When you're rotating quarterbacks looking for an answer, I think you're looking in the wrong place, because I don't see that as their issue. I think there's 3 good quarterbacks there, and or at least 2 good starters. And I think the issue is somewhere else on the field, and and it may be off the field as far as we know. But don't deflect there, folks.
Yeah. One last thing before we move on, because Cincinnati is, they're still a really good team, and yeah, you have to say that even with this win, it probably won't look good. It may not look good later on, but I would say the possibilities of them making the college football playoff are still remote.
Oh.
We haven't done it yet.
That's true. Man, didn't see that one coming. Hey, Cincinnati, you are doing a lot of good things. There's one thing you don't do well. And what is that, you may ask? Chili. So stop it with that.
Yeah.
Whatever that is supposed to be, stop it. Our next game, Florida State coming out with a 33-30 win over Syracuse. This is the other field goal winning game that I was referring to. Just what the Seminoles needed. Certainly Dino Babers did not need this. But a hard-fought game between 2 teams that I think played their hearts out as much as they could. And so I give thumbs up to both teams for that.
Yeah. Felt like again, another situation where the tone was set right away in this game. Florida State kind of showed early on that they were playing a lot better. We've seen that they've been close to winning. throughout the season, not other than like one or two games. They've been there at the end, and it finally went their way with this win over Syracuse. And I think it's safe to say that this offense right now just runs better with Jordan Travis behind center as opposed to Mackenzie Milton. I mean, yeah, Travis isn't the passer Milton is, but with the way they're running the ball between him, excuse me, Trayshawn Ward and Jayshawn Corbin, I get those two confused, but they ran for 247 in this game, and those three combined for pretty much all of it. And this is what they need to do. They just need to be a run first team, ball control, and obviously it worked in this game. They had a great final drive that set up the game winning field goal. And this is, the Florida State was due for a win. And no credit to Syracuse because they actually outgained Florida State in this game. A lot of that came as the game was going on because they ran the ball really well. Between Sean Tucker and Garrett Schrader, they had 239 yards on the ground. And the problem right now, Schrader just isn't that great of a passer. 13 and 23 of this game. He's got work to do there, but it's apparent that this offense runs better with Schrader at quarterback. And I think this is going to be more of a run first team as well as the season goes on, and they're probably going to spring a couple of wins that we don't expect yet.
In our next game, the quarterback worked for his supper, and as you pointed out, this is a letdown game, and it could have ended up very badly. But fortunately, the Pack found it in themselves to come away with a win, a 34-27 win over Louisiana Tech. And I will give Louisiana Tech credit where credit's due. They were very aggressive in this game and were making some big plays. NC State just didn't look like they were clicking for a good portion of this game. They just seemed worn out.
Well, it's like I say, I think this looked like a letdown game after the Clemson game, and yeah, but also credit to Louisiana Tech because they are a good team. I think every game they've played this year has been a one-score game, and that held true yesterday. And they were driving down to potentially win the game, and then they just completely butchered the clock because their quarterback got his helmet knocked off, or no, he got hurt, and obviously you have to come out for a play. So they brought in the backup. Mm-hmm. The backup didn't realize the clock was running, and they still had a timeout to use. So they ran a play, took 30 seconds off when they could have just taken the last timeout and maybe kept the quarterback on the field, the starter on the field. But instead, they ran 30 seconds off the clock and threw a pass to the end zone that was out. I think actually went out of bounds. But Louisiana Tech kind of butchered the end of that game, but credit to NC State. It was a hard fought win. Ricky Person, one of probably my favorite runs of the year when he shook a bunch of tackles and literally just pushed the dude to the ground right around the 5-yard line on his touchdown run. That was just a epic stiff arm. And nice win for NC State. And, right now it feels like it's between NC State and Wake Forest for who's the best team in the Atlantic right now.
Who would have thought we have been saying that at this time? I mean, that's a surprise. And our last game of the weekend wrap. Wow. I know a lot of BC fans are disappointed, but Clemson did not cover the spread at all on this game, and not even close. And it was a hard-fought contest here, and it further exposing some issues with Clemson. A reality check, I think, also for the Eagles in some ways. Two solid teams. 19-13 final, Clemson on top.
Yeah, I thought that when the point spread came out last week and Clemson was like a double-digit favorite, I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was something
15
like 12,
or 15 and a half, something like
that. It was just completely disrespectful to Boston College. And we had seen nothing to this point to prove that Clemson can outscore anybody on the FBS level by 15 points. And once again, they failed to get the 20 points in regulation against an FBS team. They got 19 in this one, and very easily could have lost this game had I think the situation was Boston College was going down for the winning score, but I think the center snapped it before Dennis Grosel was ready, and it ended up being a fumble that Clemson recovered. I think inside the 20-yard line or something like that. Or is it? Yeah, right on the 20. And it was a tough ending to the game because Boston College played pretty well in this game. Grosel threw for 311 yards in this game, but he did throw 2 picks. Controversy in this game because there was a play where Clemson defender clearly jumped off sides, but they didn't call it. But ACC refs and all that. And there was that, and I didn't mention this earlier. There was some controversy in the Louisville Wake Forest game with some time with the time, in terms of kick, the time you're allowed to spike the ball. I don't remember the whole controversy. I was not watching the game at the time, so I don't know how it all played out. Maybe I'll ask Jeremy when I'm on the podcast to explain it for me. But yeah, anyways, back to BC Clemson. It's a big win for Clemson. They needed it. But I think this also shows Boston College is, going to be right there with anybody on their schedule on a given week, even without Phil Jakovic.
Thanks for joining us on ACC Nation. Follow us by subscribing on your favorite podcast or streaming radio platform and on YouTube. We'd appreciate a 5-star rating while you're there. Visit our homepage at accnation.net and support us via PayPal. Keep up with the latest by following us on Google News. You can find ACC Nation on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Reddit, and Pinterest. Follow Will at Will's World MN, and I'm at ACC The Q. Cheers!
Score.